Hey, welcome back to another episode of Split Screen Gamers, where a couple nerds talk about video games. And today, we have a lot on this smorgasbord of content to talk about. First of all, Phil Spencer has lost his freaking mind. Apparently, Xbox is going to let go of like 9,000 employees, so the games that you thought were coming out might not come out. Second of all, Niel Druckmann has either got some sense or he's lost his mind as well, but he stepped away from the Last of Us HBO show to focus more on his new game. What is it called? Heretic Prophet? Who knows? Nobody knows what the game's about. Lastly, Chandler's going to give an in-depth Death Stranding 2 on the beach review, and he's going to do it in his boxer, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, that much more here on Split Screen Gamers. Now, put your headphones on, get your tea ready, and let's get active.
Your weekly power-up of video game news, updates, and industry buzz. From blockbuster releases and indie gems to hardware drops, studio shakeups, and everything in between, we break it all down. This is Split Screen Gamers.
What's up, boys? It's time to get active.
What's up, dude? I just want to make a comment, David, that
what?
I am actually not wearing boxers, believe it or not, and it's late at night, but
You promised me that you were going to. Are you serious? You promised me that you were going to wear boxer briefs that are not the right size for you, actually 2 sizes smaller, so I can see the bulge. That's what I was promising. That's what I'm going to get.
I'm here. Oh my god. The first image I get in my head is from Game of Thrones. Whenever you see what's his name? He's like one of the same soldiers that like he fights for Daenerys, but like they're all castrated. But like you see all of them having fucking bulges and whatnot. So
they didn't do the VFX in that. Yeah.
Yeah, they literally just kept it in. It was too much work for the VFX artists. That was it.
I never knew about that. That's crazy. I just want to say real quick while we're here, guys, we just did 2 Let's Plays here on the channel. I played Tales from Tales from Beyond the Tomb, White Silence. It's part of a series that I've played, and it's very spooky. 616 Games is killing it. And then also I played a pretty freaking cool game called Karn. It's a climbing game. Pretty much a climbing simulator, but it sounds way funner. It is way funner than it sounds. It's super dope. Hope you like it. Anyways, check those out. Guys, now that part is done, and I'm done, shamelessly promoting my own stuff, it's time to talk about some real stuff going on in Xbox, bro, because it's like, it feels like like we got stabbed in the back somehow. Like, all of a sudden, we have Xbox Direct. You know what I mean? They release all these new things, this new hardware, and then it's almost like they were trying to like fatten us up with positive stuff before they drop the bomb. It's almost like the government putting out some sort of like, PSA about how good our country's doing before dropping a nuke on some other country. That's what it feels like, because it's we're not the ones directly affected by it. I mean, there are some. Before I get too much into it, but if you don't know, Xbox just came out and said that Microsoft is planning on laying off about 9,000 employees over at the Xbox kind of department. And so that's going to affect across the board the studios that are developing all the new games that you're so excited about. And the exact number's not confirmed yet, but it is looking to be about 9,000. And they're also going to cut some hardware, etc. And so, yeah. What do you guys think about that? Like, I have a lot to say on this, but I'll chime in after I get you guys' thoughts.
I'm with you on that, bro. I have so much to say about this because and I texted this in our like little private group, but I sent a post about how one of the founding members of Xbox posted something about how Xbox is completely done with the hardware game, and I'm like, interesting. So, like, the handheld is not considered hardware? Well, like, what's going on? Like, she knows things that we don't, obviously, but it turns out, like, there's been a lot of speculation and rumors that, after this handheld, we're going to get one more, like, Xbox exclusive console, and that's it, essentially. And I'm like, interesting. But, like, with all these layoffs, bro, I'm like, 9,000 people? Like, that's almost 10,000 people right there. And granted, that only makes up like 4% of their like workforce over at like Xbox. But that's still like 9,000 people that completely lost their jobs, that lost their livelihoods. Like, their families are going to suffer because of this now. Yeah. Hopefully not too terribly, but like, they're going to suffer because of these layoffs. And you just wonder, it's like, and me and you, David, like we did that whole watch party on their whole Xbox like showcase that they had for summer games, and like they were blasting. They were like, and they had like one of the best showcases from Summer Games Fest, like period, from this year. And it's just like, on one hand, they really care about their games. They really care about their studios, but then they like completely like lie and basically just get rid of a bunch of titles and a bunch of like people and like pretty much mismanage all these studios and stuff. So it's very bizarre and really like there's something afoot. And like a game developer that had worked over at Microsoft before the layoffs, he was saying like something about how like Microsoft is getting that heavy push into AI to the point where it'll replace like most of these jobs.
I'm actually glad you said that, because that was something I was going to bring up. I'm excited to hear what you're about to say.
Yeah, and like Microsoft has spent so much money on like these AI technologies. It makes you wonder though that there's something that they are developing over at Microsoft, over at like Xbox, to where they're like generating like, pretty much helping like streamline game development and whatnot, to the point where it's going to become like more efficient, more, like effective on their front in order to get like a product out there. And they're just not saying it because, I mean, most companies right now are using ChatGPT. That is 100%. Something that is like streamlined because it is so good and valuable and quick. And it's gonna, I mean, I was having this conversation with another buddy of mine about how like a lot of white collar jobs are gonna disappear in the next 10 to 15 years.
100%.
Like that's gonna evaporate.
And so you're claiming that this is, you are speculating rather, that this is the first, one of your first kind of pieces of evidence that is happening.
Yes. I think, and this is like, it's happening in an industry that, and it's happening in an industry that, we're like, we're fascinated by. We play video games, bro. Like we go out there and like we pick up the next big game and stuff, and we play with our buddies, like me and Chris and you sometimes, man. And it's just like, it's really like, it's really discouraging for like a game developer to like have that fear inside of him that one day like his job that he had like trained for many years and has been doing it for many more years is going to be gone, zero, and it's going to be replaced with artificial intelligence. It's crazy. It's just frightening.
Now look. Now, I don't want to go too deep into that because that's not the initial. That's not the confirmation that we have. It's just speculation. Which, but I'm not saying I disagree with you as well. Like, I think Microsoft is very. Let's just kind of stay on that just for 1 second, because I think that Microsoft is very aware of the kind of negative connotation that AI has, and I think they if that is the case, then they've avoided having that specific confirmation due to the negative connotation that it gives. And so like they've used the corporate workaround language to get around without saying that. I mean, look, what they said specifically, what Phil Spencer came out and was like, we will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. We must make choices now for continued success in the future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate effort on areas with the greatest potential while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. This focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. Now, look, my first thought on that is, look, if it is, I don't want, like I said, I don't want to, like, AI is a conversation to be had, and maybe that's what they're doing, and maybe they're swerving that confirmation there. But I like to play devil's advocate because sometimes I'm not picking a side. It's just I have so much sympathy for the amount of developers and people who are laid off and who have, up to probably 7 years. I know that there's a couple games that were being developed even before the pandemic over at some of those Microsoft studios, and for them to be like 7 years or something into a game and that be your game and your work and your art look, we're all artists, you know what I mean? We make content, and we're filmmakers outside of this, and I couldn't imagine, getting your first big break over at, over at FromSoft or something, and you're like, oh, I get to be a world designer, and you're on it for 7 years. You can't wait for the game to come out and do numbers because it will, because you're working with FromSoft, and it gets canceled via the corporate's use of AI or whatever decision they want to make, whatever opportunities that they have to pursue because of Xbox's success. And then all of a sudden now you're fired, and now you have to look for a job, and what your resume is like, I worked on the last Elden Ring, but I have nothing to show for it. It's like, that is, and then you take that to the director of the game, and that's even crazier of a depressing layoff, because it's like, this is my art, and I've been funded for it. I couldn't imagine. And so I have so much sympathy for that. But less being devil's advocate and more just kind of looking at both sides. Xbox is crafting this in a way that is setting their conversation up, saying like, we used to have Xbox success in the past is due to the opportunities and the risks that we took in the past, and the success in the future is going to be for that same reason. That's kind of the dialogue that they're presenting here. And look, I completely understand that, but if it is AI, I disagree with that, because I like AI, I use it a lot, but once we start replacing it with people who have actual hearts and hard work associated with them, and families, I mean, all the things that are human, you know what I mean? Once you start replacing that, it's like, okay, at what point does the savings get a little too much? Like, yeah, you saved 9,000 salaries or whatever, but like, how many people did you give them you put them in a purposeless position? That's a little scary to me. Now, let's assume it's not AI, and let's just think about it from a business perspective. They're just like, we need to take this opportunity. Xbox says they're first of all, if you didn't know, Microsoft is number 2 in the market right now, right under Nvidia in terms of stock. It went up a little bit after the layoffs, it swindled a little bit after the layoffs, but they're saying, I think they're trying to get back up. Microsoft is trying to get back up there. And so, truth be told, they probably are making the right decision for the company, but are they making the moral decision as humans? That is the real question. What do you think, Chris?
I think at the end of the day, they probably look at it like it's a business. So they're trying to, save what they can of that, no matter the cost of, the years of work you've done, the employees' jobs. I mean, like, I understand what Spencer's saying, but it's kind of like a lot of nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it feels very, I don't know a better word to use, corporate-y, I guess.
100%, it is.
Obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It's a huge company. It's been around for so long. Obviously, I agree with the way you said that. It sounds like they were kind of like prepping us with all these like shiny, nice objects before.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Chris Traeger, Ben Wyatt, Parks and Rec. Like, Chris is like, "You're all great," and Ben's like, "You're all fired." That's kind of like the approach it seems like they took to it. So, and
that was the best metaphor, actually.
Shady.
That was the best metaphor. Quote it.
Parks and Rec fans, if you'll get it. But I feel like it seems kind of like, I mean, one company is probably not shady to some extent, Look at Microsoft, look at Sony, we're PlayStation guys, but Sony's done a lot of stuff, I'm sure. So it's but at the end of the day, it's like, it is a business. I understand that they're trying to maintain the business, and that always can come at a high cost of employees, but is it moral? Like, no, of course not. Like, you don't
no.
take all these jobs from these people, and man, we've discussed it before, but like the amount of work and years it takes to put into a game, especially if you're a smaller developer, like they've dedicated like a decade of their lives to a game at times, and to get that kind of like rug pulled out from under you and not be able to like finish that, like, that's horrible. That's awful. Mm-hmm. But again, we don't know what the real story is. I'm sure it's a little of everything. This person's not totally right. This person's not totally right. I understand it's a business and you need to do what you can to maintain the business at the end of the day. Yeah. But it doesn't stop you from looking like a giant shithead either.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they had this big announcement. They introduced the what's their version of the Switch called again?
The Xbox ROG Ally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like they're developing that too. I guess maybe if they are doing that, they're seeing that as being like a moneymaker to come in. But I'm like, I don't know. It seems all over the place. Like I don't really. It's like they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants, and I don't really know what the end goal here is and what the.
It's
like,
weird to
intent
release
is
it
behind
so.
any of this.
It is weird for
Yeah.
them to release all this information so soon after the Xbox Direct. Look, I'll give you
Yeah.
another speculation too. I mean, I think they had to do that because they have a season of. They're going to put the Xbox ROG Ally out soon, and they wanted to hit for holiday season, and we're coming right up on it. So they had to kind of sting us and get it over with.
Yeah.
And look, that's going to happen. Unfortunately, we're not going to take a stand. We're still going to buy the games. We're still going to get Xbox Game Pass, etc. But here's the thing, man. Phil Spencer has done some stuff in the past. He's made some claims. He's promised things and never met it. But
I'm glad
Look,
you mentioned that, David.
he's
Like,
done that,
100%.
and he's kind of lost
Yeah.
his. He's talented, but he's kind of lost some credibility. And I think it's because I think it really is for in this case specifically. I have to say I think Phil is at the. He's at the what's the term? He's at the. I'm trying to think of that term. I don't know. Anyways,
He
unfortunately
I think
unfortunately is
I
being
wanted to-
pulled back
sorry.
and forth with the Microsoft. I think Microsoft, even people above him, are because the reason I say that is because he had an interview a while back and they were like asking him what game are you most excited about that is being developed and over at Xbox, and he said Everwild, and that's one of the games that just got canceled. And so
Yep.
we're looking at that and it's like, okay, like I don't think that Phil has all the. I think because he's the face and he is the head of Xbox right now. I think a lot of people kind of look at him as like someone to point their finger at. But the truth is, Microsoft, not just Xbox, is a big company that has a lot of pull. I mean, not a lot. They have all the pull with anything that happens in any department, any subsidiary, any DBA that they're working with or that they own. It's like that is just the fact. And so if they are moving into AI, or if Microsoft's trying to, overtake NVIDIA with creating processing chips for AI systems, etc., that there's a lot of things that could be happening. Of course, it's like if Xbox is getting smacked by PlayStation and getting smacked by Nintendo, it's like, okay, let's implement this here first, and see how it performs here, and kind of use it as a play test. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. Either way, Xbox has lost. It's weird. They like gained my respect a month ago,
Same.
and then
Same.
right now I'm like, I'm really excited for what you guys got going on, but like, man, like what are you gonna do? Are you taking the random developers now who don't even care about Call of Duty and you're just throwing them over there to fill that position?
Yeah.
Are you taking the people who are working on Outer Worlds and just going and just bringing in them from people from Everwild and like, hey, you're working on Outer Worlds now? It's just like, man, I know what it feels like to be thrown and tossed as an employee, and it's like that sucks, dude. That sucks, and
Yeah.
especially in the creative industry.
Yeah.
And I really hope it's not AI related too, especially because
Ooh,
Yeah.
it is.
to
Yeah.
us-
Let's
to
be
us
real.
alone,
It is.
100%.
Once again, we're
100%.
talking about like how you're gonna save. How are they looking like they're gonna save money? And especially to like people like us who are creatives, like what is like the one question we get asked now, and the one thing we're probably like most worried about is like how much AI is going to be implemented and develop and take away the human creation of these
Sure.
this art
That-
and
yeah,
these
that
products.
human touch.
And if a company presumably laying off a bunch of people because they're it's a financial concern, what are they going to go with? Is like pick the cheapest option, the quickest option.
100%.
And, yeah, that's
Yeah.
scary, and it's kind of like it's like a double standard. It's like I feel like that's not how art is created.
Yeah.
Proper art.
No, I agree.
Like we have not had art for centuries. It all
Yeah.
comes from like it's like a human product, a human creation, and to take that away, I think they see like the financial aspect of it, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, I will be very interested to see what the actual like product is that it creates too.
Yeah, and I think with like a lot of those big wigs over at like Microsoft, like they have like this idea that AI can generate and do this, but it actually can't, and like they're like gunning for that. They're like hoping that it will eventually, and it might. I mean, just look at any like invention that you see like that humans have created, like like the cars, planes, like the dishwasher. I mean, yeah, I brought up the dishwasher, like, and those inventions were like, pretty primitive. They had a bunch of problems, and yeah, they still do have a bunch of problems to this day, but they like got better and better and better, and eventually, yeah, AI is gonna like do that. But like and Chris, you mentioned this, like, and it was a really great point, but it's like, where's like the human touch? Where's like the humanity in like creating said art? Like there's none when you're using AI. AI will take a bunch of images, copy them, do a collage, and remake something that is similar to what you like fed it and stuff. But it's like a human. I didn't create that. The machine did. The computer did. So yeah,
Well,
it's
as
just
humans,
soulless.
we relate to the humanity of the
Yeah.
movie or show
Oh,
or
sure.
video game that we're
Yeah.
playing,
Yes.
And without that creation and touch, what do we have? We have like kind of fake looking AI YouTube videos,
Yeah.
like,
And they're
like, yeah,
everywhere,
this
dude.
is- it's like an uncanny valley feeling
Yeah.
watching it sometimes. And like, I want to play a game where like this, the developers, the director, writers, animators, whoever, like they poured their like heart and soul into that to like make the sweat just right coming down off the brow, and us to watch it be like, or the bubbles in Grand Theft Auto, like us seeing that be like, did you see that like bubbles coming up? That was insane. Like the
Yeah.
attention to detail is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we might lose. I don't know, or not relate the same. Like it's hard to describe. It's like I think we'll lose that connection is the concern. And
Yeah.
it'd be funny if like they do AI and then and then they go back to like actually people like when humans make the games.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
do like come full circle back to it. Like it's like how like they like try this thing and it's like you realize we just came back to the same thing we were at like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'd be curious
No,
like,
100%.
how that happens too. Like there's a reason Xbox got so popular and why they're
Yep.
like one of the biggest consoles out there and always have been. It's because that's what you do and that's what you create. And
Yeah.
I don't understand how we're losing that now.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well-
think a lot of that
Okay,
comes
David.
from. I just want to speak just so the viewers aren't confused, like because I don't necessarily think it's mostly in the actual artistic realm. I actually think that being a company as big as Microsoft that's been in software development since we got
80s.
computers, it's like
Sure.
it's more. I think they're more into the AI agent realm, and I think that's what we're seeing a lot because they specifically are talking about management positions. I think they're automating things that were once not automated, and for example, so let's step because it is Microsoft across the board 9000, not just Xbox, right? I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it like accounting can easily be
Yes.
automated these days. You used to have accounting departments can easily be automated these days, and that's like the surface. And people are with the type of connections like NAN or Zapier is a popular one, Mantis, and all these AI softwares that are coming out. The automation process is getting much easier and much more consumer level to the point where people are automating. I've seen people making crazy thousands of dollars off fully automated YouTube channels. And what I mean is like they're from the ideation is the AI is starting, and then to the posting and to the income report, it's all automated. Even the video that you're watching on YouTube is fully automated. I've seen people do it, and
Yep.
so I'm not saying it's like now that obviously does affect the art, but like I guarantee you that Microsoft is not unaware of the AI. I mean, no, I can guarantee you that for sure. They're not unaware of the AI revolution, but I can almost guarantee you that they're implementing it at the highest level right now.
Yep.
For
and they're
sure.
developing their own technologies, dude.
Oh,
They are definitely going to be
for
their own
sure.
technologies.
Yes.
They are. And like I heard a report, and this is on like one news article, but I heard a report that they are spending like $2.5 billion on AI research and development. So they're doing their own AI like models. They're doing their own AI software like everybody else is, like Apple and this and like OpenAI and like a bunch of and Google. So they're definitely getting to that sphere and whatnot. So, but I'm just like, you know, you made an excellent point. Like, you know, there used to be accounting departments. Now you can just simplify that with like using like, you know, one person in like a machine. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's all you can do. So, and just think about that for like game development. That is a scary decrease. So, just
well, it's like, you know, I know that I won't speak on that actually. I'll take that back, but because I don't think I actually even believe in that. What I was getting ready to say, but dude, like we can guarantee. I can tell you right now. I'm going to make a claim, and I stand by it, and I 100% believe it. I believe it as much as I believe I'm talking right now to this microphone.
Yep.
Part of that 9,000 employees is AI. A part of it, at least a part of it, is because of AI. Is it all? Actually, I also 100% believe that it's not all of the reason, for sure. But I can guarantee you, shadow without a doubt, like a part of it's AI. That, to me, is enough. Look, I use AI. It hasn't replaced any employees in my company, but I'm not Microsoft. It's like, I don't know I'm not developing my own proprietary tools. You know what I mean? And I don't know if the truth is, like, it's easy to play hero in the situation. The truth is, man, like, the AI stuff's good, and Microsoft knows that. And if they're developing their own stuff for it, it's probably even better than we can even conceive right now. And it's learning at a rapid rate. It's, you know, what took, you know, a developer, you know, 10, 20, 15 years to master, an AI you can train an AI to do that in like a week, if not quicker now. And it's getting faster and faster. And it's like, can you blame them for doing it as a company? When the board of directors get together and they're like, how do we improve our profit margin? And they go, oh, well, this can do it quicker than these 5 people can do it. Let's just have it do it, and it costs $30 a month. Or we can just develop our own one where it's free and we just have the processing power. I mean, all the chips, all the best chips are made in this country. So it's like, cool. Let's just get those cards, those chips, and implement them into our computers. And it's like, bam. I mean, can you blame them? That, you know, you can't really blame a company for doing that. Can you criticize them? 100%. And I stand on business. I'm criticizing Microsoft because you have to take the human route, because the consequences of not doing that, and you don't understand. People already feel purposeless in this world. It's like if you take away the only thing that they have, a lot of times for a lot of people, the only thing they have is their career. No matter how small or big, it's like, I go to work today. It's enough to make you get up, right? That's a lot of people's everything. And if you're a creative, it's even more than that, because you put your heart in it. So it's like, dude, you don't understand the repercussions of what's going to happen with this stuff, man. Like, I don't want to be this like negative Nancy, but it's like, dude, like when the world loses purpose, like what happens next? Yeah,
and especially when you're getting rid of people and you're also like canceling games that have been in development for like 6 or 7 or 8 years, which is crazy, which is just insane to even do that part. And we haven't even like touched like all the games that they like canceled either, which you kind of wonder is like why. And like a lot of these games have been in development for like 6+ years, so it's like something's afoot, essentially. Something is afoot, you know. So, and like and I mean, I'm gonna get on to this man like later in the video with his game, but Hideo Kojima's game OD canceled with Jordan Peele. Canceled.
It got canceled?
It's dead. It's dead. It's
Why?
gone. It's bye-bye. Xbox, no idea. There's no clue. And
Xbox, I thought he's not doing that with PlayStation?
Nope, it is Xbox, dude.
I didn't know that.
It is.
Dang it, dude.
It's Xbox. So you wonder, it's like, why these games are getting canceled that have been in development for so long now. Is it because of just the high, because to me, if a game was in development that I have like funded and spent money on, like millions of dollars on, I want to see profits back. So I want to get this game done and like shipped out there. But it seems like they're okay with like canceling games and maybe get like a tax return. I'm not really sure. It's kind of interesting to me, but they canceled that. They canceled a new Halo IP. They canceled another Doom game. They canceled Perfect Dark, which is like
I heard about that.
I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure it's a remake or like just a continuation of like the main franchise, but it's dead. And we just saw gameplay trailer or great gameplay footage from last year, and it looks great. But it got canceled, and that game had a lot of development issues and all that stuff. And then Rare's game, Everwilds, the game that you mentioned earlier in the episode, that game has been in development for like 10 years, gone. All that money gone. And I'm like,
I don't understand. What? Yeah, I don't understand. You're right. I don't get what is that? What are they doing? Like, why would you cancel a game that's been developed for 10 years? Like, are you serious?
I don't know. And I can't see the tax write-offs being that huge either. Because it's like, oh, you canceled the game. Well, you don't get these millions of dollars back, buddy. You're the one that like had the pin, and you had the document, and you cancel it. So it's like you can't get as much money back as you think you could with like
that's
tax
so true. Why are they
like,
doing that?
I don't know. I have no idea. It's wild, and like I guarantee you, and there's been like other like. News articles out there that have said like there's so many games that they canceled that some of them have never been announced. So I'm just like, what's going on here? What's going on?
It's a little fishy. It's a little mysterious. Like, and they're not giving enough information because canceling. We haven't seen something like this in a while, guys. It's really dark, actually. Like, we haven't seen anything. Like, the biggest cancellation for me personally as a fan last time was Factions for Last of Us Part 2. That was a big one for me because I even saw the developers on Twitter saying like it was one of the best games they've ever made. And it's like, dude, like, why did you do that? But they said they wanted to focus and they were just kind of spreading themselves too thin. Makes sense. Canceling 10 plus games though, that's kind of what it sounds like it is. At least 10 games. It's like,
or more, dude.
What is going on? You just said
I don't know.
that you're putting out. Were any of these games even talked about at the Xbox Direct? That's what I'm curious about. They weren't?
No.
So they already knew that. They already knew that.
They already knew that.
Okay. Look, guys. It's a dark time. It sucks to be a developer working under Xbox right now. My prayers and thoughts go out to them because man, like we've exhausted it. You get it. I really hope that they find their footing in some other industry. Hope Nintendo hires them. I hope PlayStation hires them. If not them, work on your own game. Freaking develop your own story. I know that's a lot to say from a guy who doesn't make it and doesn't know how much it costs. Mm-hmm. But like, I wish the best. Now, another dark time in gaming / cinema history. Niel Druckmann leaves The Last of Us HBO series. He announced, I've made the difficult decision to step away from my creative involvement of The Last of Us on HBO, with the work completing on Season 2 and before any meaningful work starts on Season 3. Now it is the right time to transition my complete focus to Naughty Dog and his future projects, including writing and directing our next game, Intergalactic, our Heretic Prophet, along with my responsibilities as studio head and head of creative. So,
Can I just ask? Can I ask everybody? Okay, who's actually watched like all of Season 2? Honest to God.
I mean, I did. I had to. Like, I love the games. I had to watch it all, even if it sucked.
Right. What about you, Chris?
I'm 3 episodes in.
I quit watching.
Sorry,
Chris, you got me beat. I quit after episode 4.
You guys quit?
Was the last. Yeah, I was like, I'm not watching this anymore.
I haven't quit. I will continue to watch. It's an uphill journey, but I will.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna get worse. No spoilers, but it gets worse.
It already has. Yeah.
Yep.
At episode 3, you thought it was worse. Wow, dude. Hey, I will say there's the first episode
1. Let's be real.
Episode 1. I think episode 1 had some cool moments in it. Like, it reminded me of 28 Weeks Later. Like, etc. It had some Game of Thrones type scalability to it. But outside of the scalability, it's like we expect that from HBO. We expect the big cinematics from HBO. What I didn't expect from Craig Mazin, the GOAT, and what I didn't expect from Niel Druckmann, also the GOAT, it's like was a complete look. We won't get into it because we're not a TV show thing, but they messed it up, and I think that is the true reason that he stepped away. Mm-hmm. I think that's the true reason.
Yeah, I think it's 100%. Due to the criticisms that it's been getting.
Oh, 100%.
Like its own giant battlefield of this, that, all different sides. Some rightfully so, some not. But, is he incorrect in saying he's also, running the studio and developing not only the name of the game, none of us can correctly say because it's confusing, and the apparent secret game that they're doing as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So does he have a lot on his plate? Yeah, of course. But I think I agree that that's not the real reason, though. Let's be real.
Yeah.
This is a J.R. Tolkien, or not J.R. Tolkien, but George R. R. Martin and Game of Thrones situation. 100%. Look, Niel Druckmann is. Let's put our personal ideas around him as a dude away, and let's talk about his artistic integrity. The guy's good. The guy's very good. Him and his team at Naughty Dog are very good. He's moved from developer or to story writer all the way to vice president, and now I think he's president. So. It's like, he's done all the things, and he's led Naughty Dog into greatness. That is 100% the truth. I've watched all those little documentaries with The Last of Us development, and you could tell that the guy's a genius when it comes to that stuff. And so, yes, the Heretic Prophet will be amazing. It'll be a feat of art, etc. I think that Niel Druckmann, first of all, he saw the criticism, and he was like, this is kind of like really beloved in the gaming industry. Like, okay, like maybe I should step away from this. Or season 3 was pitched or talked about, and there's if you don't know, season 3 is probably going to lead into what has not been made in the video game series. And so he maybe disagreed with how the direction of that was going to go, and for him that was disappointing. Who knows? He's going to give the corporate answer. He's not going to put them under the bus. He'd probably sign something about it, I'm sure, like that he couldn't do it. He couldn't say anything, or he had to say something positive, or who knows. I personally like that he's focusing on Naughty Dog. I personally like that because there's some weird stuff I don't like that they're doing over there, but I'm really excited for Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. I'm a religious guy. It's probably going to bash religion a lot, but I can still enjoy art and separate the art from its message sometimes, depending on how crazy it is. But I'm curious, what do you guys think? In coordinates with this step away from the HBO show, do you guys think it was a good move for him to kind of focus his efforts over at Naughty Dog, or do you think that this is just give me your general thoughts, Chris? The reason I really want Chris's answer in this because it seems like there's some underlying brewing anger or frustration with Neil, and I don't know why. I want to know why.
I want Chris to lay it all out.
Lay it out. Slap it out. Meat on the table right now. We need it.
Yeah, bro.
I feel like I sound like any other commentary. First of all, I don't understand this. I feel like I'm being me when I'm talking about it. My poor fiance has heard me rant on the couch after we watched the first episode.
Oh no!
And she was like, "Okay, I don't know what any of that means, but yeah." I think I will never say he is not a very talented, creative guy, creative genius. Of course, The Last of Us is one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. In my opinion.
No, you're right.
Yep.
And I understand he had Bruce help him, create the first game, which I feel like that is a big factor also of why the first game is so good, is because of Bruce's involvement. Because Bruce is obviously, also a GOAT in his own right. Mm-hmm. And helped make Naughty Dog what it was, as well as Amy, too, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I do think that Neil had really good, mentorship and guidance creating The Last of Us, which was, to my understanding, his story, his idea. Baby. I even think I've read it was originally actually pitched as a movie or a show first before it developed into the game. So it's interesting how it kind of came full circle back to.
Funny story about that.
but-
He pitched it to George A. Romero about this idea about the zombie legend himself.
Nice.
And apparently George Romero hated the idea. Like, he actually hated the fucking idea. And
He's like, yo, my zombies are based in supernatural, bro. These are too real. Fungus, dog?
These
No,
are
I don't want that.
No, fuck that idea. Like, literally. And I was like, that's wild that he pitched that to the legend himself. But
That's awesome.
people, people got their taste, I guess. So who knows? So, but
I think Niel's name probably, became such like a conflicting thing between, the people, like the fans of the first game as it developed into the second, because, when he did part 2, obviously he became like the sole director of it. Like, Bruce was not involved in part 2. That's probably, I'm very curious about all that behind the scenes, and Bruce was left Naughty Dog as well. So I'm very interested to know, probably, obviously it's like corporate surface level. We don't know, but I think technically speaking, part 2 was probably one of the best made games of years of the decade. It's a beautiful, beautiful looking game. I'm glad that they delayed, because they delayed to create this, I would say, masterpiece, technically speaking, game. It looks incredible.
Yes.
yes.
And the story is great.
I almost feel like Niel seems like his own worst enemy at times, is how I've kind of viewed it over the years. I think he has a lot of big ideas and a lot of concepts and commentary he wants to show in his work, because, when you're a creative, when you're making something, you're inspired by those kinds of things. What is your voice? What do you want to say? What is the meaning behind this game? But I think he kind of got in his own way too. Obviously, the one of the biggest, debating things is Joel being killed. That, man, if there's not a 50-50 line, well, if you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
So,
I'm sorry, my dog's drinking water. That's what that is.
No, you good.
And obviously, man, if there's a 50-50 line, I think it's Joel being killed, because it's me personally, I looked at it I understand why he did it. Mm-hmm. It very much represents the point of what The Last of Us is, what the world is. Nobody's totally innocent, nobody's totally guilty. At the end of the day, they're all humans with their own stories and motivations and heartbreak and, what deep down makes them a flawed or
person.
just a human.
Sure.
Yeah.
A person. So it's I understand why he did. I won't rant too much. I feel like Dave and I could talk about this for 3 hours in its own episode.
Yeah.
But I understand that. The second game came with its own controversy. Obviously, that was kind of well, that's obviously going to happen once we get into season 2, because once we get into season 2, we're going right back into the same thing. And I never anticipated that they would change Joel's death. I kind of knew that, it's going to come, I'm sure, and it's probably going to get the same criticism it got, if not more, because, people who haven't played the game went into the show now not realizing it, while, us who have played knew, uh-oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
Yep. And when it's going to come, too. Oh.
Yeah. And so, obviously, you're going to create a huge amount of criticism with that, especially if your game got it in the first place, but also, kind of doubling down on it and not really, I don't know what the answer to that would be, but not really changing anything. Still going with it. If not, trying to go with it, a little harder, Yeah. So I see why he would probably step away after that, because the season has gotten a lot of bad criticism, and I could certainly talk for hours about how they developed the show compared to the game and stuff. I kind of hope, And what I've read, like, he has like a story for a part 3 has been written, outlined, whatever. So I'm curious to see how that will like contribute once we get past season 3. I believe season 4 is greenlit, or they said need to wrap it in season 4. I don't remember the exact quote.
Anytime
So-
that they go off
Yeah.
script of what the guy did in the
source
beginning,
material.
it's going to
Yeah.
like, usually it goes bad. Sometimes it doesn't, but
Yeah.
most of the time it does. And look, man, The Last of Us. I've always even said this since the first season. Where the first season was really good still of the show, but where it lacks is that it doesn't like. I think this is like one of those. The book is better situations, because a book has more meat and potatoes. It has more landscape to work with the characters in.
Yeah.
It's like the game is that same nature. Like, you don't get the one-off conversations and dialogues that you have in the game while traversing, whatever, Chicago or Billstown, etc. It's like you don't, or Boston, sorry, Boston and Billstown and the Texas University, etc. Like, you don't get those little bits of dialogues that really build the character, and you see Ellie talking about she had a mom or something, and she's dropping a pun here, and Joel's talking about a daughter, but not really giving all the information on the girl. It's like these little things that are like barely in the show at all, because the show doesn't have enough landscape to breathe the characters into. And it's like, that was bound to happen. Season 2, Last of Us Part 2, even more of that. It had so much of that, so much non-cutscene story elements that breathe life into Abby, and like, I'm one of those guys who I stand Last of Us Part 2. I know that the feedback for some people comes from a place of hurt because of Joel. I still believe Niel Druckmann made a decision that makes sense. I still stand by him. I think that story was awesome. I think the way he did that was awesome. Of course, Joel is the bad guy. Of course, someone's going to get revenge on him. Of course, he's not going to make it out of every situation. And of course, Ellie is going to go down the same revenge route. It only makes sense. And then when she fails, of course, it's going to feel like a tragedy. That all makes sense. I still believe that he told a great story, right?
Yep.
Part 2 of The Last of Us, and I think the reason he stepped away is like, dude, it did not capture that at all. It didn't capture that at all. Like, it was, Ellie just didn't hit the mark. Like, it wasn't Bella Ramsey. It wasn't her. It was the writing. There's moments where she's on this revenge path of hatred, and then there's moments where she's joking, like, and like laughing, like nothing ever happened. It's just so convoluted. And I think Neil, someone who's so precise in his storytelling and has been so good so far, it's like, I think he's just like, I can't do this. I can't, like, I'm going to step away. And if that is the case, I 100% stand by it, bro. I'm a Niel Druckmann fan. And look, last thing I'll say, man, is like, I think you're right, Chris. I think that you're right on the he's a kind of his own enemy thing, because it's like, man, like when Bruce and Amy were there, it's like Nathan Drake was like a pretty he was just a heroic character. He didn't
He was almost like an Indiana Jones.
He was like an Indiana
character.
Jones. And even The Last of Us, I feel like I'll say this and I'll say it as I'll present it as a storyteller. As soon as you give characters traits just for the sake of giving them traits, rather than giving characters traits because they earn them, then you start to tell the story in the wrong direction. And I think that's what Niel Druckmann he's leaning more and more into. It's like, the reason that Ellie is strong in The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 is because she goes through things that make her a strong person. She's actually very weak at the beginning, and she does that, and it's like the story, it intrigues those things in her, right? When you start giving, I don't know how the profit's going to go, but like, if this character doesn't have true defining moments that make it, and it seems like he's going in that direction. He's almost wanting to tell something political or whatever, but it's like, tell that story. That's fine. I don't care. Even if I disagree with it, I don't care. Tell that story. But give me a reason to believe that person believes in that. Give me a reason to believe that character is going down that belief system, because they experience things that inspire that. Not because they're a girl and they just happen to be strong. Ellie was outmatched the entire second game. You know why but it's because she had heart. She had a reason to fight. She kept going. There's multiple times where she gets her butt kicked, lots of times, but like it's out of her sheer revenge that she's able to pull herself out of the dirt. And it's like I just plead with Naughty Dog to like don't lose that part of your games. You're the best storytelling game in the world, right there with Rockstar. It's like Rockstar hasn't broken that yet. There's lots of story games that haven't broken that yet. And so please, I beg as a fan, when and also Craig Mazin, please, like you just gotta like, and it's weird because I haven't made anything like these guys, but as a fan, as a fan and a consumer, please, like make us believe in your characters. You know what I mean?
As a fan of you, Craig, Chernobyl was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
What
so
happened,
good.
man? What happened?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to point out.
Chernobyl is all character.
Yes.
You know?
What are the greatest?
It's so brutal and down to earth and like, oh my goodness, you feel every single person that comes into that show. And I'm like, I could see why they hired him, but I'm like, where is it? I don't see it.
Straight up.
What happened to it?
Yeah, and that's like one of the best if not the greatest miniseries of all time. That show, when I first saw the first episode, I was like, this was made by a fucking genius, because I have never like watched an episode and was like fucking speechless. I mean, there's some, but that one is up there. I was like, holy cow. But no, I agree with. Oh, what's up, Chris?
Honestly, part of me is curious to see how Craig does season 3 on his own, because I'm curious, like if he's given the ability to like, well, here's what worked, here's what didn't, here's how we fine tune it for this creative medium.
Yeah,
being a TV show, not a video game, but capturing that essence of the game.
Right.
Like, I'm like, I absolutely see why they picked him to do it, and I would love to see him just go balls to the wall, like bring it, let's go, come on, what do you got? I want to see what you can do, please.
I think Craig's biggest problem with The Last of Us, and David, you mentioned this, but I feel like he doesn't know how to like write Ellie. Like, I don't know he knows how to like be a showrunner and like how to tell her story and whatnot. And I completely agree with you on that, because there's some weird, and it might be because of Bella Ramsey, but honestly, I think it's true. Like, the writing is the soul of like a piece, and they just don't know how to write for like some of these characters. I feel like
they're extremely complex characters. I mean, Ellie is gay, and she doesn't ever say it, and she's like kind of, it's weird. Like, she's also Dina is like kind of this kind of crazy adventurous heart that transforms into this very loving motherly figure that once you think she has she doesn't have any morals, and she's kind of adventurous and just does anything, and like ends up, you know, romancing or pursuing Ellie. Then all of a sudden, by the end of the story, it flips, and now you're like, Ellie is this character who is kind of reckless, and then you have Dina, who is like, no, like this is what's really important out here. It's like these characters are complex, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's how complex the story is, and that's across the board when it comes to Joel, when it comes to Jesse, when it comes to what's Joel's brother's name? Tommy. When it comes to all these characters, even the enemy characters, man, like, these are very complex characters that they're just like, in the second season, aside from maybe a few, they got Jesse right. I think Jesse did. The guy who played Jesse killed it, by the way. But anyways, like all that,
I would agree.
All that is like. Anyways, I know we talked about this a lot. It's time to move on. And guys, what's coming next is super dope. I can't wait to hear what Chandler has to say. We're going to move into our Death Stranding 2 review. Chandler, take it away, bro. You finished the game. Let's jump right into it.
Dude, Death Stranding 2, fucking masterpiece. I swear to God, I have never, like, it's been a while since I played a game that has literally, like, appreciate like video games even more as like a medium, and Death Stranding 2 is like one of those games, and it's made by like one of the greatest creators of all time, the legend himself, Hideo Kojima. And he's made the Metal Gear franchise, like, you know, he's made, like, you know, all these, like, story, like, computer, like, story games, like, back in, like, the 80s and, like, early 90s. And, you know, it's just incredible to see his, you know, evolution and his, like, career taking, like, new, like, levels of, like, detail and, like, you know, just storytelling and, like, being able to utilize the best and greatest graphical, like, engines out there to tell his stories. And Death Stranding 2 is, like, pinnacle right now for his career right now. And for his, like, newfound freedom, like, after, like, you know, working with Konami for, like, 35, 36 years after the whole debacle that happened over there, which I have a lot to say about, but I'm not getting into it in this episode, but I have like a lot of things to say about it. But anyways, Death Stranding 2, guys, it is probably one of maybe 3 games that by a certain moment towards the end of it, I started to tear up. Like, I legitimately, like, started to, like, get tears in my eyes a little bit, because there was a moment where a character realizes something, and, like, you see, like, them crying, and then they say a certain word, and there's a certain action that happens after that with the main character, and I was like, God, I mean, I started just like, I paused the game. I was like, I needed a moment. I was like, holy cow. And it might have been because I spent, like, 4.5 days trying to beat this game, that I was just, like, in kind of like a high energy kind of phase with this game, just getting all excited to, like, beat it. But there, like, I started to, like, tear up a little bit because of just the moment and everything that has happened to these characters, and that has happened to, like, you know, during my time playing the game. And, like, it really is a testament towards Hideo Kojima, how he writes characters. And I'll even say this, we've been talking about Niel Druckmann and stuff. I would even say that Hideo Kojima might be a better creator, a better creative director than Niel Druckmann in a lot of aspects, to the point where...
I just want to jump in here real quick and say I disagree.
They oh my god, dude, 100%, like 100%. Hear me out. If you can make me cry because of your characters, you're up there. Like, you're up there for me. So
hey, look, you know, I'm not. This is Chandler's review, so I know I'm just barging in and saying something. So sorry if I'm annoying. Chandler, when I come to Chattanooga, bro, I owe you a drink. But even though you don't drink, I owe you a snack. But
a Coke.
Yeah, I owe you a Coke.
Chris knows. A
Pepsi. I owe you a Coke.
Yeah.
But like, Kojima's the Coke. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're fine, dude. Hey, anything, dog, anything. I would love to get into debate, but anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I would really, you know, Hideo Kojima is, you know, one of the all-time GOATs. He knows how to write characters to make you care. He also comes with, like, not a lot of controversy, you know, that I feel like a lot of other characters kind of, or not a lot of characters, sorry, a lot of other, like, creative directors typically have, like Niel Druckmann and, like, a few others. Ken Levine has been known to be, like, a perfectionist, and, like, you know, Hideo's like that too, but Hideo knows how to take criticism, and he knows how to use that criticism to better his games. And I feel like he took the criticism from Death Stranding 1, which a big reason why a lot of people stopped playing the game, and even David, and I think Chris has even said this, but, you know, it's for a lot of people, it feels like a walking simulator, or a packaging simulator, or a delivery, you know, person simulator. But a lot of people stopped playing it because the gameplay was just very boring. Well, good news for everybody out there that is trying to pick up, you know, this new, you know, addition to the game. Kojima has figured out a solution for that. He's literally figured out a solution to where the game and how it is paced out throughout like the story. The missions are better paced out. They're quicker to do. The gameplay is much funner. There's new gadgets and like gizmos and like weapons. There's a blooderang or a blue, like pretty much a boomerang that you can throw like against enemies' heads and knock them out. It's great, and it can also destroy PTs. Fantastic like little like device that you can use in the game in order to make your life way easier, because before they didn't even have sniper rifles, and now they do. They have sniper rifles, and you can just, you know, basically take out enemies from afar. In the first game, you didn't have that. you were just sneaking around. Hopefully you didn't like get caught. Knowing me, like, I like to take the more stealthy approach, so those are greatly appreciated, and they're also quiet too. Also, and this is something I forgot to mention on our last podcast about Death Stranding, where I was talking about like the vehicles and like how they're more, you know, user like friendly in this go around. Death Stranding 2, and I forgot to mention, but in Death Stranding 1, you didn't get the vehicles right off the bat. You actually had to wait a while for you to like get those vehicles. In this one, you get them like in like the next like 2 hours or so. Like, you get them pretty early on in the game, and they are so much helpful. And the terrain is easier to like drive through and stuff. It's just fun. It's just fun to like drive through and trying to like complete these missions as easy as possible. What else? Oh. But going back to characters, I wanted to point out there's a lot of new additions to this game. There's Tarman that's being played by George Miller. He's awesome in it, and I was shocked that they even got him to even like, you know, be in this game. I didn't even know he was interested in like being an actor per se. They also got like a few other characters named Rainey. She's played by a Japanese actress. She was really great. She's really sweet, kind of cute, being honest. She was really a great character in the game too. But I wanted to point out that a big standout for me is Troy Baker's character, who was in the first game, but I was like, he was all right. He played the villain, but he also plays the same villain in this game, and he plays Higgs, and Higgs is such a standout character that there's been like moments where I've actually gone back and like rewatched some clips that he's in, and he like, it's something that Hideo like is interesting about is like he'll add like pieces of like lyrics from different like songs that he's listened to into like some of these characters that he's written for. And with Higgs, like there's a moment in the game, and it takes place in this factory scene where it's Sam Bridges played by I totally blacked out on his name, but you know, he's from Norman Reedus, but he's confronted by him, and basically there's a little bit of a dialogue exchange, and like he's pretty much like, you know, captured essentially, but Higgs says something about like, you know, same it as ever was, and I'm like, is that from like Talking Heads, from that one song? And it was, and he actually got interviewed about that too, so I was like, oh, that's a little cool reference. But when he said that in that kind of speech and tone, I was like, oh, that's from that one song. So I was like, oh shit. But yeah, there's like little cute little weird moments like that in the game where Kojima like really likes to like add like this kind of like fourth wall breaking aspect to like his games and whatnot. There's also a scene, and I showed this to our like little group, me, David, and Chris's group, and I won't get into like spoiler-ish, but there's this weird there's this like funny dance scene where like essentially it's a robot, and he's singing and dancing, and basically like it's a character reveal, and it's so funny that it almost didn't take me out of the game, but it was just a funny moment. And Kojima's known for putting like weird funny moments throughout his game. There's another moment in the game where it's actually missable if you don't like do like the side quest for it, but like one of the outposts, there's a character that's played by what's his name? He's played by the same guy who directed the Ghost in the Shell franchise, but he's in the game as a cameo, and there's a bunch of other cameos too. There's the Rocker brothers that's in the game who did Talk to Me, and then there's Mike Flanagan who's in the game, and his wife is in the game too. So there's all these like different like references and like cameos.
Masamune Shiro.
Thank you, Masamune Yoshiro. He's in the game as a pizza maker. He's a pizzeria maker in the game, and there's this cutscene where you go down into like his like facility, and like it's like a pizzeria down there, but you actually fight him in a martial arts duel with pizza involved. It's really funny. It's really cool, and I'm so glad that I did the side quest for it because I got to see that moment when I was playing the game. Fantastic. But yeah, there's all these like funny, weird moments that Kojima's known for like putting in his games, and you know, just to make them not feel too serious, but also like just to have like as a break from like the more serious topics and whatnot in the game, whether it be like war, death, or like, you know, all these other like harsher like realities about the world and stuff. But he likes to like lace all these different fun little cameos and like weird moments throughout the game for us to like enjoy and be like, oh, remember that weird moment? There's even like, so if you set your birthday, it gives you this. So if you set your birthday to a specific date, and let's say you're logged into the game on that date of your birthday, there's like little like cutscene cinematic where like all the characters will sing happy birthday to you. It's actually kind of cool, and he's done this before with the first game, and it's just like a nice like little like homage to that, like that just cutscene where it's like an appreciation to you and stuff. So he'll do little like fourth wall breaks like that. But yeah, Death Stranding 2, really really fun game. Also before I hang up on this, the graphics are just incredible. The opening cutscene, I literally thought this was footage. I literally thought he actually like filmed this, but it's actually like CGI. It's actually like full blown, and it's on the Decima engine too, where like everything is so realistic, and it was just crazy. My eyes was like, this is not like this is real, right? Like this is like real. But yeah, it's actually like made in the game, and I was like, holy cow. And I was like, oh my god. And it's like incredible, truly incredible. But it just tells you like, you know, how game engines are becoming more and more like getting to the point where it's hard to differentiate from realism and like graphical, like, you know, computing power. It's truly incredible. And like the graphics in the game, like the textures on the faces and stuff, like that's real. I mean, that's like real graphical fidelity that you can get with the Decima engine now. So it's just insane, guys, insane. But yeah, if I had to, and you know, Chris and David know this about me, but if I had to rank this on like a top 5 greatest Hideo Kojima games of all time, I would say I would put this at number 2, below Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Because Metal Gear 3's like Solid Snake Eater is just that great of a game, and it's just hard to beat. It is just so hard to beat. I mean, it's just like I've played that game probably like 4 times, but I've only played Death Stranding like 2. So if I play Death Stranding 2 again, it might change, but it's going to be hard to beat. So, but that's just my rankings. But if I had to give it a review or like a rating, I would say probably like a 9.5 out of 10. I would say a hard 9.5 out of 10. But yep, Death Stranding 2, I would definitely pick this up if you can. It's it feels less of a walking simulator, more of like, you know, an action adventure game. So that's just me, guys. That's just me. So thank you guys again for joining us on another incredible episode of Split Screen Gamers. We'll see you next time on our next episode next week. See ya.